moment for a question or two. You're recognized.
First of all, I appreciate this hearing. I really do. Thank the witnesses. I like the hearing title, Philosophy on AI, because I think it's crucial. I've been interested in science fiction all my life, and I've actually, now we've been holding these seminars or hearings here in the Senate trying to understand what this is, but I've also been reading some pretty interesting science fiction books. Science fiction writers are, unbelievably prescient, and these things are researched pretty well, and so these things go off in different directions and some pretty troubling directions, which is, I think, what the chairman was talking about in his opening remarks, as well as what you're talking about. Professor Valor, you're talking about our capacity to regulate this and our ability to do so. President Eisenhower, in his farewell address, not only talked about the military-industrial complex, he also warned us about government funding science and research. And that would lead to scientists more concerned about obtaining a government grant than really addressing pure scientific knowledge. It could lead to a scientific and technological elite that drove public policy. I think that's the concern with AI. He was concerned about human beings that were technologically and scientifically elite. Now we've got computer capability that's going to vastly outpace our ability in terms of volumes and speed of calculations. And it's highly concerning. I would argue just the latest pandemic. Scientific research was certainly looking at how to take a virus with gain of function, make it more dangerous, and then come up with a countermeasure, anticipating biological warfare. I would argue that obviously got out of hand. We don't know the exact origin, but I guess I'm less convinced that we're going to really be able to control this and that we've got the governing capacity to do so. It's hard to really put a question on this, but this is an incredibly important issue and question, and I just really don't know whether this dysfunctional place is going to come up with the right answers. I think of the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. Again, I'm not a computer scientist. I can't even begin to grapple with how they create these algorithms, and we've got a few smart people that know this that are warning us about a certainly possibility of AI destroying this country, destroying humanity. I guess just speak to that.
Happy to. Thank you very much. So I think the important point in what you're saying is that AI today is an accelerant of many of the dynamics that are currently present in our society, in our economy. And among those, for example, is rising economic inequality and declining social and economic mobility, which has been an issue now in this country for decades. And one of the greatest worries about AI is that it will accelerate those trends unless we actively govern AI in ways that ensure that its benefits are realized by everyone who has a right to have the infrastructure that AI will build serve them. So I'll just say that I think the fact that we have done this in the past with other technologies that were at the time equally unprecedented, equally powerful, equally challenging to regulate, actually, if we have the political will, leaves us in a better place than we have ever been to govern a complex technology like AI, because we have 200 years of experience in regulatory innovation, in adjusting the incentives for powerful actors. It has been effective before. That is why airplanes now are safer than driving. That would not have happened if we had stepped back and let airlines operate without any kind of regulatory oversight, accountability, or constraint.
But regulating transportation devices is completely different, and I would even say nuclear power versus nuclear weapons is completely different than this that we can't even begin to grapple with once this is unleashed and it's starting to learn and maybe even becoming self-aware. What does that going to actually result in. Professor Asamoglu, pretty close. You talked about, you've all talked about growing inequality. I would argue that we've put ourselves in a huge pickle over the last couple generations as we've told all of our children, you have to get a four-year degree. To me, the greatest threat AI represents to loss of jobs are those college-educated kids. That machines can learn a lot quicker, and you're seeing what is happening with ChatGPT. Certainly, we're seeing a real shortage of workers in manufacturing, in the trades. We're always going to need those folks. And unfortunately, certainly in Wisconsin, those employers trying to hire people, our kids aren't doing it because we send them all to college, and they think that kind of work is beneath them. So they're screaming for legal immigration reform, which I'm all for. But here's an instance where we didn't really regulate, but society en masse told all of our kids, you have to get college educated, thereby implying that being in construction or being a tradesperson was somehow a lesser occupation, second-class citizen. I think all work has value. Why don't you speak to that in my remaining time?
Well, that's a very, very important point. I have also come to believe, exactly like you said, that we have undervalued a lot of important work, but we haven't just undervalued it philosophically. We have also failed to create the right training environment and the right technologies for these workers. It is a tragedy in this country that we have a tremendous shortage of skilled craftspeople, electricians, but they're not even paid that well.
And they're starting to get paid well.
Sorry?
They're starting to get paid
They're
well.
gonna get paid somewhat better because of scarcity, but they can be paid even more if we create the right environment for them to acquire more expertise and provide the tools for them. And the promise of AI is really, if we strip all of the hype, is really in doing that. Because what is generative AI good at? It's taking a vast body of knowledge and some specific context and finding what's the relevant bit of that vast body for that specific context. So that's a great technology for training, that's a great technology for boosting expertise. And that's the way to actually use AI in a way that's not inequality inducing. Now, you've raised another very important point, which many economists also make, which is, well, these ChatGPT-like technologies are gonna go after, college-educated jobs. I'm not actually sure. This is not the first technology that has been promised to automate white-collar workers or white-collar work and therefore reduce inequality that way. My work finds that many of these technologies end up actually going after the lower skill jobs. Like, you're not gonna automate managerial jobs or those people who have power, but you're gonna do it to the sort of IT security type jobs, which are not very well paid anyway. And moreover, that's not a very effective way of reducing inequality, because what happens to people who, say, used to do IT security or advertisement writing, etc., they go and compete for other white-collar jobs that were lower paid, and the burden again falls on lower educated workers. So you're 100% right. Four-year college for everybody is not the solution, but skills for everybody, building expertise for everybody is the right solution.
Sorry I can't stay around. This really is an important subject. Thank you.